Let's start with the obvious, stuff everyone caught, and slowly work our way towards the most mind-blowing details you definitely missed in this trailer. The military intervention already failed. So the Stranger Things 5 Volume 2 trailer dropped, and within the first 3 seconds, you already know everything has gone completely sideways. There are burning Humvees, bodies scattered across the Hawkins lab exterior, and everything looks like a nuclear winter. Will is kneeled down next to the glowing orange tunnels created by the Demogorgons. It cuts to Will saying that they failed. He's in the room with Joyce. Maybe he finally came out as gay, who knows? But failed is past tense. The plan to stop Vecna already happened, and it went so catastrophically wrong that we're starting this volume in the aftermath of total defeat, and with an extra, superpowered person. Before we dig into the countdown, here's what you need to know about the 3 biggest reveals hiding in plain sight. First, there's a freestanding door in the middle of an empty field that looks like it was ripped straight out of a Twilight Zone fever dream, and the person walking through it might be the key to everything. Second, Kali Prasad has finally arrived, and this is big for more reasons than you can imagine. Not to mention one hidden detail I'll break down more soon, about a bedroom with pink floral wallpaper and furniture on the ceiling. Before I explain this though, we need to look at something more disturbing. Vecna's face. You get an extreme close-up of Vecna's face, and the prosthetics look significantly darker and crunchier than they did in the end of Season 5 Vol 1. Maybe it's just the first time seeing him charred after the attack at the end of Season 4, or maybe he has advanced since Volume 1. This detail does matter though, because it tells you Vecna is not invincible. Whether he is burnt or not, it's clear he can be damaged, or affected by something. The problem is he just doesn't care. Pain is irrelevant to him. Mortality is irrelevant. He took fire damage that would kill a normal person 10 times over, and he's still pushing forward with his plan. That's not power, that's fanaticism. And fanatics don't stop, they escalate. If you're enjoying this breakdown, so far subscribe, because I have some insane theories dropping that you won't want to miss. Before them though, we need to visit the Upside Down, Vecna's endgame. Vecna speaks, and his line is unambiguous. It is time for a new world, not conquest or revenge. This evil guy wants a complete replacement. He's trying to terraform the entire planet into a version of the Upside Down, where he controls the physical laws. This has always been his goal, but hearing him say it out loud clarifies the stakes. There's no negotiation here. There's no scenario where Vecna gets what he wants, and some people survive. His victory condition is total environmental annihilation of baseline reality. Either he wins, and the world becomes the Upside Down, or he loses and dies. There's no middle ground. That's why the military failed. That's why conventional force doesn't work. You can't bargain with someone whose opening offer is the extinction of your dimension. This could tie into the massive cracks forming on the Upside Down. Maybe Vecna's plan is working, and the Upside Down starts fully seeping into the main world. Red Cloud. We get to see several massive particulate clouds forming a shape over a couple locations. Jonathan and Nancy are at one that seems to be melting all the metal around it before sending them flying backwards. But what if this is the Mind Flayer, the Shadow Monster, the thing that possessed Will in Season 2 and built a meat puppet in Season 3? It's back, but this time it's not hiding in the Upside Down. It's forming in the right side up, in the open where everyone can see it. Some fans theorized Vecna was controlling the Mind Flayer. Some thought the Mind Flayer was using Vecna. Doesn't matter anymore. They're both here, or at least there is something else here that is not from our world. They're both active, and Hawkins is caught between a psychic killer who breaks people from the inside and a hive mind entity that builds itself out of living meat. Demodog's hospital. Forget the Demogorgons. In the hospital, you can see the little mutts appearing next to Vicky, Robin, and 2 soldiers. Those are quadrupedal Demodogs, the same ones we saw Dustin try to domesticate in Season 2, the same ones that ripped Bob Newby apart in that hallway. Then, right after you see one of them sprinting full speed down the corridor in what's clearly Hawkins Memorial Hospital. But this gets so much weirder. The Demodog doesn't care at all about Vicky and goes straight past her, straight towards Robin and the soldiers. But either way, it is not looking good at all for Robin this volume. Maybe she will be the death of the season. The bipedal Demogorgons are scary because they're tall and they have that flower face. But the Demodogs are worse. They're fast, they hunt in packs, and they're small enough to get into places you thought were safe. The fact that they're running through the hospital means the invasion has reached civilian infrastructure. There's no bunker deep enough. There's no shelter secure enough. If they're in the hospital, they're everywhere, and hospitals are where the wounded go, where the vulnerable hide. The Demodogs showing up there aren't random. It's strategic. Vecna is sending them exactly where they'll do maximum psychological damage: Radio Shack. At 55 seconds, there's a shot of what looks like a full-scale battle happening in a commercial district / military zone, where we ended Volume 1 at. Because in the background, you can clearly see a Radio Shack sign. Radio Shack is where Bob Newby worked, the hero who sacrificed himself to save everyone in the lab. If you love Bob Newby, comment Bob Newby love. The inclusion of this sign during a battle scene is not an accident. It's not just set dressing, it's a memorial. The show is reminding you that heroes have been dying for this town since Season 2, and the cost keeps going up. It's also a callback to the theme of outdated technology being weaponized against monsters, which has been a running thread since Season 1. If Radio Shack is in this shot, it could be a sign something electronic and retro is about to become a plot point. Mike Leader. We see Mike, Will, and Eleven cramped inside a van. Eleven is wearing her wetsuit so they could be on their way to get her to some water, and Mike is dressed in full military gear. Potentially, Mike Wheeler could be trying to pull everyone back together after catastrophic failure. Mike has always been the planner, the leader, the person who coordinates the party. But somewhere around Season 3 and 4, that role got diffused. Everyone started operating independently, or in several different groups. Hopper became the action hero. Nancy became the soldier, likely because she can hold a gun without getting recoil. Steve became the mommy. Eleven became the weapon. And Mike got lost in the shuffle. This is him reclaiming that position. Sensory deprivation. We get to see Elle at the Squawk radio station operating room, wearing a blindfold and headphones. This is right before it cuts to Elle asking Kaylee to help her find Vecna and kill him. What if that is exactly what Elle is doing at the radio station? It looks makeshift, rough, like they're on the run and they're improvising. This tells you the government either doesn't control the resources anymore, or Eleven is still actively avoiding them. Typical government pretending to be heroes. Either way, she's using her powers in field conditions. No medical supervision, no backup systems, just a blindfold and desperation. The deprivation tank was always about amplifying her abilities by cutting off external stimuli. If they're resorting to a DIY version, it means they need her at full strength, and they need it now. It also raises the question of how much power she has left. At the end of Season 5, she was exhausted. She pushed herself to the absolute limit, fighting, and getting damaged by the speaker devices. Now, she's being asked to do it again with even fewer resources. There's a reason she looks terrified in this shot. Bob Legacy. We get to see Nancy facing off against soldiers, and Dr. K in full military gear, with a shotgun and big-ass assault rifle. This is a direct visual echo of Season 1, when she bought that gun to hunt the Demogorgon in Jonathan's house. Back then, she was improvising, scared, and barely holding it together. Now look at her. The way she's gripping that shotgun. The way she's positioned. Nancy has fully transitioned from survivor to soldier. She's not the girl who stumbled into the Upside Down anymore. The show has been building this arc for 5 seasons, and this one image is the payoff. When you're fighting an apocalypse, you don't need a journalist. You need someone who can load shells and aim straight. Nancy became that person the second Barb died, and now she's the group's primary weapon. And remember, Radio Shack is visible in this trailer. Bob Newby worked at Radio Shack. Bob Newby died saving everyone. Nancy picked up the gun. That legacy flows through her. Vecna. In what looks like Vecna's mind, home, we get to see Henry Creel wigging out and morphing between Vecna, his human form, and Mr. Whatsit. Now, there are many insane theories about this, and I'm going to tell you the craziest ones. Firstly, a stupid one. Some fans have suggested Holly could actually have undiscovered powers in the mindscape that he is using on Vecna, and killing him with, or just ripping his different personas apart to turn him human once again. Now, is this possible? Sure, but it's stupid as hell, unlike the next one. What if Vecna actually dies here? We know Stranger Things has references to Terminator film, and in Terminator 2, when the T-1000 dies, it starts morphing into different people, and this could be a direct reference to that. If Vecna dies, that could be a perfect transition for the finale, leading us to the ultimate boss, the Mind Flayer. This is one of the most realistic theories I have seen, and I think it's definitely possible, and would make a lot of sense for the final episode of Vol 2. But that is far from the most important thing you missed in the trailer: Hive Mind. There's a shot of Eleven and Hopper making their way through what can only be described as a ribcage structure. Organic, curved, alien. They're not just in the Upside Down, they're inside the organism, inside the hive. This visual language comes straight from Alien and every body horror film, where the environment itself is alive and hostile. If you're inside the thing, you can't fight it from the outside. You can't escape it. You're operating in its territory, by its rules, and it knows you're there. This is the logical endpoint of everything the Upside Down has been building toward. It started as a mirror dimension, Dustin. Then it became an invasion force. Now it's a living structure that you can physically enter. And if the party is running through it, that means they're either trying to destroy it from the inside or they're looking for something buried in its core. Either way, they're betting everything on one desperate push into the worst possible place: Steve's death. Steve looks at Dustin and says, "You die, I die." And if you remember season 4, if you remember Eddie Munson's sacrifice, if you remember how Dustin had to watch his new friend get torn apart while buying time, you know exactly why Steve is saying this. Dustin has survivor's guilt carved into his bones now. He's afraid to let anyone else fight for him. Steve is telling him he doesn't get a choice. They're in this together, and Steve is not leaving him behind, no matter what happens. It's a beautiful moment. And based on Steve's track record of jumping into danger to protect the kids, my money is on him keeping that promise the hardest way possible. But it doesn't end there. Steve is wearing a bandana in this shot, a bandana that looks an awful lot like the one Eddie Munson wore. Steve kept it. He's wearing Eddie's bandana as a reminder of what sacrifice looks like. He already knows how this ends. Freestanding door. This is the single most surreal image in the entire trailer. A beige door, no walls, just standing in an open grassy field like a Magritte painting, and there's Holly Wheeler walking toward it with Max. The door's open. The girl walks through. No matter what, this door is not set dressing. It's a plot device, and based on how much visual weight the trailer gives it, my guess is someone is going to have to walk through that door in the finale, and whatever is on the other side is either the solution or the point of no return. Doors mean thresholds. Thresholds mean choices. And in Stranger Things, choices mean sacrifice. We see the girls again looking down what appears to be a mine shaft or some old wooden structure, and then climbing into a floral walled room that is actually Holly Wheeler's room. This is massive, and it could mean many things. Firstly, and most obvious one, is that it could be them escaping into the real world. They are out of the cave, at least. Vecna isn't there, and they're somewhere familiar. But why would Holly's room be in Vecna's mindscape? That I'm not sure of. Maybe it's from him scouting her out, or he has gotten the memory from the Demogorgon that attacked there. Either way though, it's a step up from the cave that Vecna is afraid of, and it undoubtedly gets them both one step closer to escape. But what if all the other memories are before they get to the door, and it's actually more simple? The door is the escape. Once they both enter the door, it sends them out of Henry's memory and back to their bodies. It could be how Vecna is getting in and out of his own mind, and they follow him there. If you enjoyed and want to see every crazy stranger things theory that might actually be true, click the video on screen now.